Driving a minicab in London has always been a challenging job, but in recent years we've reached a crisis point. New app-based companies like Uber have flooded the markets with drivers and dropped the fares so low. Transport for London should be helping precarious workers in every way they can. Instead of being part of the solution, Transport for London is now joining in the exploitation of some of the hardest working and most vulnerable workers in London.
From this year, TfL removed private hires exemption from the congestion charge and left in place for black cab drivers. 71% of minicab drivers are from designated deprived communities. So the congestion charge not only hurts drivers, but it is taking money out of hard West London communities and transfers into TfL's bank accounts. It is a tax on the poor, costing drivers as much as £3,000 per year. 94% of minicab drivers are black, Asian or minority ethnic. So it hits minority communities disproportionately hard also. Since this charge came in, I have been struggling to make ends meet. I have had to work longer and longer hours to cover this congestion charge and have been able to spend less time with my family. TfL had many other options which would have been more effective at reducing congestion. And so, the poorest are paying the environmental cost of the rich in Sadiq Khan's plan.
Many women drivers are balancing minicab work with carrying responsibilities at home. We have little extra capacity to work more hours to recoup the cost, and we're much more likely to drive during the daytime when the charge is in force. Many of us already avoid working at night due to the risks involved, and union surveys show that more than 50% of all London minicab drivers have been assaulted at work, and 83% have been subject to racist, sexist or Islamophobic abuse. The effect of the charge will be to discourage women from continuing to work in the industry at a time when they're desperately needed. I personally have had a very bad experience working at night, which was very frightening, and so I decided only to work in the daytime from now on. And as a part-time woman driver, I'm particularly badly hit by this discriminatory charge.
London can be rightly proud of its iconic black taxi trade, and the Mayor and Transport for London are right to protect that heritage for generations to come. There's 23,000 black taxi drivers in London, 85% of whom are white British, and they have representation at City Hall from 5 separate trade organisations, including trade unions. However, 110,000 minicab drivers, 94% of whom are of black, Asian or minority ethnicity, have no trade union recognition at all from Transport for London. These are just some of the examples, but the congestion charge represents a last straw where drivers are no longer willing to accept this level of discrimination from Transport for London that they've had to endure for years. So we want to see the black taxi trade protected, but we also want fair play for minicab drivers. Instead of punishing precarious workers in sweatshop conditions, why isn't Transport for London doing its best to protect us? We believe that there's been a decades-long problem of institutional racism and discrimination at Transport for London that really now must be confronted. Because it's not only the right thing to do for the drivers themselves, but it's also the right thing to do for the travelling public in London. Londoners do not want or expect to see discrimination in the licensed public transportation system. Londoners don't expect to see institutional racism being given a foothold like this in our public transportation system in 2019. This is why we've taken this important case to the High Court. For years, the Mayor and Transport for London have ignored our concerns. They've ignored a London Assembly resolution in 2017 calling for protection of workers. They've increased a regressive taxation and regulatory licence fee regime on drivers. They've even denied precarious BME workers the right to trade union recognition with the regulator. We deserve much better than this.
The congestion charge is a policy Uber lobbied for in order to avoid other solutions to congestion, such as a cap on the minicab license that would cost them money. The poor are being made to pay for external costs of Uber business model because the mayor won't make Uber pay.
That's why in July we are taking TfL to the courts on ground of discrimination. TfL discrimination has to end.
This is a really important case. This is the first time minicab drivers have fought back in court. This is our chance to drive out discrimination from Transport for London.
Please support us in our campaign for justice to bring an end to discrimination.